Okay, we're going to look at these two different equations. We're solving equations with fractions in them. If you look at the first equation on the left, you have 2/3 plus x equals 1/2. My variable is x, which means that's what I have to get alone. So I have to get rid of the 2/3. So to get rid of the 2/3, I'm going to subtract 2/3 on both sides of the equal sign. And you can see that 2/3 minus 2/3 will zero out, and all you're left with on the left-hand side is x. On the right-hand side, you have 1/2 minus 2/3. So I have to change the mixed number to an improper fraction. So I'm going to take the denominator, multiply it by the whole number, and add the numerator. So 2 times 1 is 1, and then 1 plus 1 is 3. I'm sorry, 2 times 1 is 2, and then 2 plus 1 is 3. Sorry, late night. Okay, so now I have 3/2 minus 2/3. I need to find a common denominator. So to find a common denominator, I need to know a number that both 2 and 3 divide evenly into. I'm going to use 6. And if you notice, 3 times 2 equals 6. And then on top, if I do 3 times 2 on the bottom, I have to do times 2 on the top. And 2 times 2 is 4. And again, we're going to keep it as a negative. For the next one, let's change color so we can see it better. The next one, I have 2, and I have to see what math do I do to get to 6. I multiply by 3. And so if I do it on the bottom, I have to do it on the top, and 3 times 3 is 9. So I have 9/6 minus 4/6. The denominator stays at 6, and 9 minus 4 is 5. My answer would be 5/6. Okay, so let's look at the second problem. On the second problem, the variable is still x. We need to get rid of the -1 and the 2/3. I'm always going to get rid of the lonely guy or the number that's not attached with the variable first. So I have a -1, so to get rid of that, I'm going to add 1 to both sides. And when you do that, you're left with 2/3 x equals -4. Now, what's being done to the variable? It's being multiplied by 2/3. To undo that, I have to do the opposite, which is divide by 2/3. When I do this, one of the things I have to do is I'm going to turn 4 into a fraction by putting 1 under it. I always like to put a whole number over 1. And then I have to think about the rules for dividing fractions. And the rules for dividing fractions are keep, change, flip. So I'm going to get rid of this over here. I'm going to do a little work on the side. I'm going to do this division. So I have the keep part. Keep the -4 over 1. So I'm going to keep that, -4 over 1. The change is the division sign. We're going to change division to multiplication. I'll represent it by this dot. And then the flip, we're going to flip the 2/3, so it's now 3 over 2. And we're going to multiply across. So we have -4 times 3, which is -12, and 1 times 2, which is 2. And then I can simplify, and the answer would be -6, because 2 divides into -12, -6 times. Now, there's an alternative to that, if you like, is instead of dividing both sides by 2/3, you could just multiply by the reciprocal. So let me put the 2/3 back here. Weeks. I want to go 2/3. And then we have 4 over 1. So to get rid of this, we could just multiply by the reciprocal, which is 3 over 2. So I just flipped this times 3 over 2. And you'll notice the 2 cancels out the 2, and the 3 cancels out the 3, and you're left with x. And on this side, you do the same thing, and you get -12. And then 1 times 2 is 2. And so you'd still get -6 for an answer. Those are 2 different ways that you could get rid of that 2/3 multiplying by the x. So we can either divide by 2/3 or we can multiply by the reciprocal.